But you keep on mentioning local government. Local government is ordinarily is an aberration under federalism. In federalism, you are supposed to have two tiers of government. The local government is the business of the subnational government, the second tier, as it was in the First Republic.
Well, you're welcome again to the Legacy series. This is a project where we study the life path of those who have impacted this country, those who have been our unsung heroes, who have been behind the scene, crafting the direction of the country and are influencing it from the position of governance, from active politics, from uh, the corporate sector, as entrepreneurs, as businessmen, as entrepreneurs, or as academics. Today, we'll be sitting with one of Nigeria's finest journalists. He has been a columnist for a long time, and he has been a political advisor, carrying out political engineering, and telling the stories of Nigeria from the pages of the newspaper. And they are the ones who actually shaped how we perceive governance and government, and also the story we tell ourselves about our country. He has been here around since he was born November 24th, 1961, and since then he has grown through the path of patriotism and building actively towards this Nigeria of our dream. And he that has seen him serve as the Director General of the News Agency of Nigeria. He's been a political advisor to the president. He has served uh, as a columnist for the Daily Times, the Vanguard, the Guardian, and currently also with the Arise Television. He's no other person than Akin Osuntokun. You're welcome, Chief. Thank you for joining.
With pleasure. You didn't mention this.
Oh,
The current,
you with this day?
currently columnist with this day was since 2013. I've been writing a column for this day since
Since
2013.
2013. Okay.
It's actually the longest I've written for any newspaper.
Okay. Let me even go start from there. Um, Generations has changed the way we consume media. All right. Um, has the consumption of the print media co- has it sustainable of late? Does it influence polity and governance the way it did 2 decades ago?
Well, are you including the social media?
Print, just print.
Just print media?
Yes. Okay. National dailies. Let's use national dailies, whether they are online or offline.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, since they are also online.
There's still a reading culture.
Exactly. Online and can be accessed,
Yeah, on the go.
on the go.
I think what I'm trying to query here is the reading culture.
Well,
Now versus
you
then.
are correct. Nigerians generally, I think, are less committed to deep thinking than they were, you know, a generation ago. Um, and it reflects, the attitude, the disposition of uh, Nigerian, the audience that the media is addressing, to appreciate and grapple, with um, what is going on in the country. Like, and also there is a fact that uh, military dictatorship, the immediate consequence of military dictatorship is the abolition of the parliament,
Mhm.
legislature. So the media now has tended to fill that vacuum. Right? The role that the legislature plays, maybe as opposition, or exercising checks and balances on the executive. Uh, the abolition of parliament banishes that. And so the media has tended to fill that vacuum, has tended to adopt that role, you know, um, thus expanding the role they play from earlier uh, at the 40th state of the realm, anyway, to uh, what is not constitutionally assigned to it. So that has shaped the way the Nigerian media has grown. Actually, from the nationalist struggle days, right? Pre-independence, the media has played the role, of championing the anti-colonial struggle. So from that precedent, uh, it was easy to assume the role when military dictatorship came, the role that it was playing in the days of uh, colonialism, instead of it flowed from that background, to the era of military dictatorship. Because colonialism itself was dictatorship. Dictatorship, dictatorship of the British colonialism. So both are dictatorship. And under dictatorship, the opposition are driven legally, banished from uh, the constitution is suspended. So the institution uh, that does not operate by the prescription and mandate of the constitution remains, and that's the media. So and then the tenth should now uh, fulfill the role or assume the role, that the parliament, the legislature
Also have played.
play.
So, the evolution of the Nigerian media has been that of colonial era activism, and then expanding into playing some sort of legislative role during military era. Okay, and then today, what would you say has been their role now? Activism, or just pure informing the populace?
Well, it's still activism. I mean, they still, the media still likely plays a role because the legislature, uh, uh, they have not been playing that role effectively.
So they still left that gap.
They tend to suck up to the executive. Uh, so like people characterize them as puppies of the suck up to yes men. To the executive. You only find a situation in which the media will reject a bill, opposition, you know, uh, to the parliament. I mean, they always tend to go along
Whatever the executive is.
whatever the executive wants. The only area where they quibble, the quibble is their remuneration. So, and, but again, they tend to well, we use that as a leverage, the leverage to keep on supporting or not being not actually serving as a check
To the executive.
to the executive.
All right, let's get to the beginning. Okay, so you were born in 1961 during the when the nation was just freshly born. Was the upheaval of the beginning of Nigerian political turmoil. It was just heating up at the time. All right, you were born to a very politically active family. the history shows that you have, Ruben Abati's story shows that you come from a warrior family, and today really you are the. I like to say I like to sound very African. Today you are the military commander of the of your ethnic nation, right? So that's what the Malugu means, right?
Yes.
You are the military commander of their armed forces. And that's what it means. Well, I'm waiting for us to return this, for us to recognize our ethnic nations more.
I see.
No, no. Yeah, again, instead of local governments, why don't we have our ethnic kingdoms in their place? I mean, that's I'm just saying.
Well,
By the way, that's by the
I
way.
know, there are a lot of prescriptions that Nigerian federalism should be predicated on nationalities.
I prefer
Yeah.
personally.
But the counter argument is that means you are going to have about 500 tiers of government, states or.
Well, it's not necessarily states. Okay, so
There are definitely over 300 ethnic nationalities in Nigeria.
we have 774 local governments.
Yeah,
So instead of the local governments, it's really the ethnic nations. And then the ethnic nations can come together and decide what forms regions or the second level of government.
I mean, we are talking in context of them serving as subnational government.
And that should be, yeah, like in the main. Yeah.
But you see, I mean, the subnational governments under federalism are independent and coordinate, with the federal government. So it will be a little cumbersome,
For
300, for
I think
500.
they are like 200.
This one, 360.
360. I don't think it's so much.
Oh,
I don't think so. The local government is set to be independent.
why the local government is not the corresponding, not at parity, with the role that we want them
To play. But what if they have, like, for example, let me use the Yoruba nation, for example, where your ethnic nation comes from. Okay, so instead of the your ethnic nation going straight, can you pronounce it for me? Okay, Mechi?
Okemesi Ekiti.
Okay, Messi.
Mm.
Okay, Messi Ekiti. Okay, so instead of Okomesi Ekiti going straight to the center, okay, there is like a regional coalition that now serves as middle tier government before the center.
Well, I mean, you are talking about constitutional innovation, but at the same time, you have to relate it to concept that we operate in Nigeria today, that is federalism. Those who are making the argument are saying that those ethnic nationalities should be the second tier of government. That is the argument that is being made. That
I agree with you.
you have,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
but you keep on mentioning local government. Local government is ordinarily is an aberration under federalism. In federalism, you are supposed to have two tiers of government. The local government is the business of the subnational government, the second tier, as it was in the First Republic. So it is the encroachment, on
The subnation.
yeah, is because again that is one of the deleterious consequences that the military has had on federalism in Nigeria. This creation of a third tier of government and weakening, commensurately weakening, the second tier of government and making them. So this is what has produced what we have in Nigeria today, whereby whereby the default, of emptying or way of taking disempowering the second tier of government. The first tier, the federal government has grown, has been attributed with powers that ordinarily should be concurrent or not even within its jurisdiction. So we have an over centralized government at the center, tending towards a dictatorship. So this is a problem that we have had. But as I said, what we are proposing mainly is a sort of constitutional innovation. So, but that has to be, you have to balance that or relate it, conceptualize it, within the federalist uh, framework. Um, Personally, I don't, I those who have theorized this that um, the federalism should be based on ethnic nationality uh, really do not have in mind all the ethno nationalities, as constituting the second tier. What tends to happen is in its place is ethnolingual, right?
Yeah.
Language group,
Yeah.
rather than ethnicity per se.
That reduces the
Exactly,
number of
linguistic, linguistic base. Um, so this is this as I said, that this is a problem as it has constituted problematic area for Nigeria long before independence, when they were trying to draw the question of the minorities, the ethnic minorities, is one that has always constituted a challenge, for the
federalism and
federals of Nigeria constitution. So I get your point that the more decentralized the system is, especially in a situation that is prescriptive of that decentralization, the more effective, the more harmonious will be the nation.
Yeah.
So we have a point that much it is. If we were to go that route, it will require a lot of work, it's a big challenge.
I think
In its place, which Nigerians tend to subscribe to, are the geopolitical zones. That those geopolitical zones should serve, as second tier. What really won in the First Republic, we used to have regions. The Western region today is splintered into six states. We have the Southeast region, we have the Northern, later Midwest. So this is the North poses a unique problem in that because the Northern region, being a single nation, a region, was not consistent with the idea of with the criteria that were being used, for the original demarcation. So, as a result of that, the most conspicuous setback or non-prescriptive was the Northern Christian minority. The what is now called the Middle Belt.
Yeah.
Right? So the Middle Belt. So now, if we are going out by the prescription of the geopolitical zones, you have 3 zones in the north, 3 in the south. And the north, you are going to have the north central, which will comprise mainly of the Christian minorities. You of course have the northwest, where we are predominantly modern Muslims, also Fulani Muslims. The same thing with the northeast, with the variation that in the northeast we also have significant population, Christian populations.
Yes.
In Adamawa, Borno, Gombe, even in Kebbi, you have substantial, significant Christian population there. So, so that is it. So Nigerians, well, we have done that before. Uh, we have identified with it. I mean, it's something that so regionalism, it's originally, those that was the concept, that was the idea,
Mm.
the constitution that best suited Nigeria, right? That Nigeria ideally shouldn't be one country. We were put together by the British colonial fiat. We have large cultural disparities and differences. But if Nigeria must be a country, there is the irreducible minimum,
Mhm.
of regionalism. So this was quote and unquote uh, the most ideal that reflects the reality of Nigeria most under the circumstances was regionalism. And those who did everything thereafter, right, had enjoyed less legitimacy,
Mhm.
right, and acceptance, by the Nigerian public
Mm.
to the extent to which it deviated from regionalism. You see, those who were largely responsible, for the independence constitution, the British colonial, and then the charismatic leaders, Azikwe, Awolowo, and
Mm.
Ahmadu Bello, and they tend to reflect, the wishes of their people.
Mm.
So these were the people who fine-tuned and put together, the independence constitution. These were the people who did the thinking. That's a constitution that was predicated on deep thinking, experience, affinity. Every other constitution thereafter, was a deviation from the norm. And of course, it started with the military intervention, the coup, January 1966. That was when that was when, well, of course, the abolition of the constitutional rule, and and then the military started dictating the pace, for the country. The unification decree, for which Johnson was killed, then became the norm. And then Nigerians started behaving. We were now normalizing the abnormal,
Mhm.
which was what the military intervention represented. That it came to breach, it came to breach the constitutional rule, the constitution upon which, Nigeria itself, the idea of
Was
Nigeria,
established.
exactly. So it breached that, and then introduced its own nation, his own idea about how Nigeria should go first, unification. As I said, so in one way, in one form or the other, this is what we have now. This is what has resulted in
What we have today.
what we have today. In one form or the other. Of course, military rule is a dictatorship, but then the spirit of Nigeria, the constitution, they manage now to insinuate, centralization, unification into subsequent positions, the position of the Second Republic, the Third Republic, and now there are variations of what we have today. It's a variation. It's minimal tinkering. 1999 Constitution was almost solely the adoption of the 1979 Constitution.
Mhm.
So yeah, so and of course that was when the idea of the third tier of government was introduced to be part of the Constitution.
Yes.
So, local government before they were operating, but they were under the regional arrangement, not as
Third tier.
not as a third tier, another tier of constitutional tier of government, not at all.
Okay.
What has happened, by making that by introducing that constitution, is a commensurate disempowerment, of the second tier, of the government of the constitution.
Let me ask, okay, so you served as a political advisor to the president, okay? That means that you have an opportunity to influence the architecture of politics in the country. Um, couldn't you have brought to fore a correction of some of these aberrations as an advisor, like recommending a reconstitution or restructuring in some way during your time?
Well, I think that's beyond my pay grade. I think you are exaggerating the
You're a
role.
political advisor.
Exaggerating the role. In any case, the government, I mean, the Obasanjo's government had a constitutional, I don't know that because it's the constitutional conference, but it had one in 1999 and obtained in 2020. They call it, partly serve as reconciliation, forgetting the specific designation.
The Oputa panel?
Yes, the Oputa panel. The Oputa panel, was also some kind of constitutional. Some proposals were made towards the amendment of the constitution.
Okay.
What happened to those amendments, the proposed amendments, I do not know. But not much was done. But the president, see, whoever becomes the president of Nigeria under the president of the constitution that we have today will be very reluctant to support decentralization and devolution of power.
Because of the power they control.
Exactly. So this is the situation until the situation make it inevitable, compelled to do so, like we're having with this state police thing now. Now, regardless of the inclination of the president, I mean, the country is unraveling, and something has to be done about it. So, without being necessarily a disciple or an advocate of decentralization, they are compelled, to respond, to the imperative of, which again is like, a vindication of those who have been arguing for decentralization or going back to where we departed from the wrong path, I mean from the right path, going back to discover, what all along, best, is best suited, to Nigeria. So this is the situation we are in now.